for every layer, you've got like store number, and then an item category, and then item number. Every time you open it up, it expands more over here, but it keeps this just one line. So you have one line here, one line here, one line here, like maybe 10 lines over here. So you export it, and when it exports, it only exports with one line and then 10. So if you try to sort things,
you can. Yeah.
So I was talking to Greta about it yesterday, and she understands what I'm looking for. It kind of does like a pivot table.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't export all the information on every line, so you can't just say, okay, now.
Hello.
Billy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Billy.
Hey, Rob.
Just talking about your online reporting tool.
What was that?
Joel and I were just talking about your online reporting tool.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Did you and Greta have a chance to talk after her and I talked yesterday?
A little bit, yeah. She showed me what was going on there. I'm going to help her out through that, though, definitely.
Did I miss that last part?
Oh, we did check it out. I'm going to help her through it a little bit and get back to you guys on like what the course of action is. I think she'll follow up with you.
Okay. Excuse me, I'm sitting here. We had a couple of pushy salesmen just joined us.
Okay.
Calvin's here, John's here, Joel's here, of course.
Okay, sounds good. Let me just try to rally up my team real quick.
You do that. Oh, you guys. Should be here.
Oh, you got to be account? I was told to run about this one.
Yeah. All right. Caitlin fits this thing. Hey, John, is inventory updated in SBI?
I just got to do Roseville. I just came from here.
So the answer is no.
It's much so go ahead.
All right.
I hope you guys can see what because I can.
Hey, can you guys hear us all right? Is there like too much background noise or anything like that?
Well, besides the big party back there, we can hear you.
Okay. We got a lot of people on here right now, don't we? Who from the Rainbow team is with us here?
Right now we've got Sabia, Al, John, Calvin, and Rob Tap. And is anybody else joining us?
How about Aaron?
Courtney coming?
You here, Sydney?
Well, I think he
okay.
Figured it out. I think the mistake that developing is like he didn't take into account the actual back number.
Okay.
He started sorting like this.
Is that okay? Is the background noise too much there?
And so
Do your best, Billy.
separated by multiple batches.
Okay.
Here's rack 1 of 217. Here's rack of 312. Here's rack 1 of 72.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do my best. Okay, so everybody with us here. First of all, the big thing that's happened is we've gone through and set up a sandbox server for Rainbow. So you have an entire server that is completely independent of your existing SBI system. It's got everything on it that your SBI system has. And so everybody in the Rainbow company should be able to go there, run through their own process, and hopefully what we expect to happen is that you guys would be able to test through some of your processes on this sandbox and help us prep for turning on some of these features I'm going to show you today on your live system. So that is our goal, is to eventually be able to turn these on your live system. And in order to do that, we need to do a little bit of piloting with you guys. And so we're going to hand off some of that piloting to the team. Hopefully you can run into the system and the sales team make some orders in replenishment, edit some SKU information, and that kind of thing in SBI. So I'm going to show you the new inventory screen and the new customer screen in SBI. That's also going to include SKUs. So we're going to talk about the new way that we set up SKUs in SBI. There are a couple things that you don't use that we might see as well. We have redone price levels, we've redone SKU levels, and there's just a couple of other things too. So I'm going to try to stick to what's going to be pertinent to you guys, though. All right, so let me just go share my screen here. So can you all see the screen here? It says sandbox at the top of the screen on the top left.
Yeah, you betcha.
All right, wonderful. So this is the sandbox server. Joel and Rob, you guys afterward, can you help me out to make sure everyone has access to this?
If everyone has it on their desktop on the regular SBI desktop, so we'll make sure they do.
Okay, good. So it's on everyone's desktop on the SBI server. Good news. Okay. Well, I kind of jumped right into it, but I wanted to show you first. We're going to go through the inventory item screen first, and then we're going to go into customers and all that good stuff. So we've been working on bringing more parts of the SBI system back into Triumph. You've been using our Triumph order entry screen for the past, since you went live on SBI. And it's time now that we're getting everything else kind of put into Triumph. And so we've got inventory, customers. We're working on some of our accounting package right now, and that'll be coming out shortly. Production is rewritten into Triumph, and we did a little brief demo of that last week or the week before. So let me just launch right into it and go into inventory items. So this is our new inventory item lookup screen, the inventory search screen. For you guys right now, when you click inventory items, you get a small little box that allows you to search through inventory. So the first thing that you all might notice is screen templates and column chooser and filtering, just like you're used to seeing in order entry, in MasterPick, and in trucking, and all these places you're already using. So that's the first real big improvement here, is we've got this thing totally ready for templates and with really advanced filtering and things like that in here. So I've gone through and I've configured some of the columns to kind of what I think you guys would like to see, or to remove some things that aren't necessary for you guys. Really we've got everything here laid out so you can see it really easily on the grid. So this is inventory search. It is, like I said, templatable, filterable, all of that stuff. So you can customize the entire thing by user, just like you used to do. So this screen, this screen and the customer screen, there's something slightly unique about it. We have this search mode versus edit mode. So this is new, where for the first time before, when we're in a big grid view like this, I can turn on search mode or I can turn on edit mode. So what does that mean? Search mode means that when I'm clicking on an item, I want to double click it and I want to open up the inventory item screen for that item. The edit screen just for that one item. You doing all right? Yep. Okay. Let me know if the background noise is too much. I'll get rid of that right away.
I think it's all right as long as you keep talking and it's only you talking. If there was other people we were trying to listen to, it'd be hard. But it's just you, so that's okay.
All right, sounds good. Okay. So yeah, when I'm in search mode and I double click on an item, it opens up the inventory edit screen. And so this is like the same thing. You would click an item from the search screen and it would open up an edit form. But what I want to demo to you right now is this difference in search mode and edit mode. So when we're in search mode, you double click and you open it up. But when you're in edit mode, everything that you see here is editable. So for the first time, I think this is a really major improvement. For the first time, you can edit anything you want in the search grid. So you don't have to drill into the item necessarily. You can just edit the information, edit the currency or pricing, or even change a product description right here from the search screen. We think that's pretty cool. So I think that's one of the biggest things here that's gotten a lot better. You know, you're in order search and you're in order entry, but you can't edit orders in order search, and there's some fields you can edit and maybe some you can't. But this is, I think, really great to be able to edit it right here in the grid, kind of bringing us closer to the look and feel like Excel that we've really been kind of going for.
You don't have to click edit it?
What was that?
You don't have to click save, you can just edit it and get out of it, and it saves itself?
Exactly, yeah. Yep. I always turn on search mode again when I'm done making a change. I'm not sure if you know you need to do that, but we are just editing it right here in the grid. I think it saves right away. You know, I think that's awesome. No more drilling in necessarily just to change a price or anything like that. So if you guys are using standard pricing, which I think you are in a lot of cases, this would be a great way for somebody to bulk edit it. And not just bulk editing it, or not just editing it one by one like this, but the inventory screen also has a couple of advanced options for bulk updates, for mass updates. So up here under advanced options, we can choose any one of the fields that we see in the grid. Or I'll choose, let's say, a price field, check off a couple of records, and I can bulk update the price here to $7. We're going to click update. It's going to tell us how many we're doing. And oh, okay, that was the cost that we're seeing right there, but the price is at 7 right there. So a lot of these fields here, they're in the mass update. It's really handy to be able to bulk update anything you want in this grid. So you can see how this is getting better from the old one, where in the past you'd have to drill into one item or two items at a time to edit the price. Now if you have some standard price that you want to set up, you can select many records and go for it that way. All right. A couple things that are also in the search screen here, you're noticing this side panel on the right-hand side. So there's a couple of things that that tie directly to an inventory item that we thought would be good to add into the side panel, where there's one inventory item but many other properties for it. For example, rack. So if you use default rack types by inventory item, you would edit those here, and you can edit them in bulk as well. If you're going to set up value added, you can do that here. Bill of materials can be done here. Adding new sizes, that can be done right here in this grid too. Just go ahead and add a new size, pick from the size list, and go for it. So the side panel idea too, I think, is really powerful for many records that relate back to one thing. So you guys probably.
What about the SKU level there, Billy?
Yeah. So. Let me do that part. So these can all get collapsed. If you don't use them, we think you should get rid of it. Same thing with the columns in the grid. If you don't use it, hide it. We don't want to show people things that they don't need. So we figured that setting up new items is something people do a lot, and it can be kind of cumbersome sometimes. People do it one by one, and et cetera. So we tried to come up with some ways to make new inventory item creation really easy and really obvious. So these things on the bottom right, we call them links. And it tells you that there's an alert if it's not set up in one of these places. So the SKU level link is telling us, hey, this item is not set up in a SKU level, or it is set up in a SKU level. So when you make a new item, if these are requirements for you guys, to do SKU pricing, it's going to tell you, hey, this item's not in a SKU level, and you can quickly drill down to that item to be able to set it up. Same thing with price levels. If the item doesn't exist in a price level, you can drill down really quickly into a price level. It'll bring in the product with it, and then you just assign what level that product is on. There's min-max by site, which is like a new feature for site transfers and kind of helping people to fulfill orders by site. And then special pricing is another pricing mechanism. So when you select a product, and it's not set up, or maybe it is set up, you click SKU level, it'll take you to the SKU UPC screen for that product ID, where similar to the new inventory screen, everything's editable, everything, we have lock versus edit mode and all this stuff. So I think that's pretty slick. I work with a lot of box store suppliers, and I think that's great when, you can quickly drill down into the SKUs and all that stuff. So we kind of skipped right to it, but this is the new SKU UPC screen also. I wanted to kind of ease into this one, but we're there now.
We like that one.
What's that?
We like that one.
Yes. Yeah, we like it too, and there's a lot of improvements made to it. I'll show you a couple other things where we can drill down to this screen from other areas of the system. You can drill down into it from open orders now too. Say you add a product to an order and it's not set up in this UPC level, you can quickly right-click on that line item and take us to this screen. I think that's great. Like, it's really getting somewhere with that.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so let me just back out of here. And it takes us right back to the place where we were, right back into the inventory item search screen. So pretty cool. I'm going to collapse this side panel thing.
Wait,
What?
before
Yes.
you go on this price column that you've got there, you said we can go in and do a mass change of pricing. What if there's a separate price for Home Depot, a separate price for Walmart, separate price for Costco?
So right now, you guys do handle your separate prices through SKU UPC levels for your box store customers. So if you needed to do that, you modify your prices for your box store customers through SKUs. And so this right here, the level Walmart or HD, this is where you store the price for Walmart. When you send an 810 invoice to Walmart, this is the price that is stored, and it's over here. So SKU UPC pricing is different than just inventory item standard pricing. The field that I showed you editing in the search screen was the inventory item standard price, and this right here is the SKU price. Still pretty easy to edit it. Just go into the edit mode, start to type in new prices, you're good.
So is there a way to do all the 8-inch hanging baskets for Home Depot price level 82 all at once?
Hang on. There is no bulk update right now in the SKU screen, so we haven't added in the mass update thing on SKUs. Just in some places on inventory items. Does that make sense?
Right. So you're not going to get the slides. You have been kind of working on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There is still some more work to be done with it. We're not done completely with adding features to this and all that. But as you guys come up with some ideas like that, let us know what you're thinking.
For sure.
All right. Cool. So we'll get back into the SKU screen in a second. I do want to spend some time on that. So does that make sense about like how your prices for box stores are in the SKU level?
I think we've got that, Billy. That's good.
Okay. Cool. So I want to show us now a little bit on the inventory edit screen. So what happens when we drill into an item? So to drill in, I'm going to turn off the edit mode. So back on search mode there. And let's drill into an item here and kind of talk about what we're seeing on the screen. So the next big change that we made to this, again, like we're thinking about new item creation and trying to make that a lot easier for any customer type. So the first thing that we did here, we'll check out these field settings. Well, before I even go into that, I want to point out two sections. So there's a mandatory section up here, and there's an optional section. So mandatory means that it has to be filled out. Somebody cannot leave the screen and save the item successfully without filling out these fields. And then we have the optional fields, which don't need to be filled out. You can save it and close it before you leave. If we go into the field settings, we can kind of see what those are. And we can actually decide on a company level, Like Rainbow can make the decision to say what is going to be mandatory and what's not going to be mandatory. So mandatory and optional, those are the two fields. So if you decide that you've got problems with people not setting the inventory types, and you need every inventory item to have a type for some reporting or anything like that, you can just go ahead and make that a mandatory field, and then if somebody doesn't fill it out, they can't save the item. So it's customizable for you guys to decide what your mandatory fields are and what your optional fields are. There are a few that are system mandatory, meaning that the program needs it in order to operate, like product ID and description. Those are good things to have. But the rest of them, you get to decide whether or not it's going to be mandatory or optional for you. To kind of keep going with that idea of what's mandatory, what's optional, well, if you make a field mandatory and somebody doesn't know what to do with it, then that's kind of a problem for them. Okay, we're going to make catalog text mandatory, but do I know what to do with catalog text? I don't know, right? So you can actually go through and set what's called a default value as well. So the default value means whenever I create a new item, it's going to put that into the catalog text field. It's going to use my default value anytime I go and create a new item. So like I've been using the example description, the description field, we'll say change this. So somebody might say change this description, fill it out with a real one. You probably wouldn't do a default value on description necessarily, but rather maybe on currency you have a default value. So there's a lot of things like that, like standard cost would be great for a default value. Maybe a default price would be good to have. Maybe all of your items are taxable. So you want to set the default value on taxable to be true. That way you never have to worry about anybody creating a new item and it not using that. So there's a lot of good stuff in there with the default values. So really default values, being mandatory, being system mandatory, and then we have this hidden right here, which means you never see it anyway. So you can make something mandatory or you can completely hide it from the system. All right.
Hey, Billy.
Yeah.
Does this edit? This isn't by an item by item basis. This is system wide for all items, right?
Yes. Exactly. So that part of the idea too is like, okay, well, are you about to set up new items for production? You have somebody who's going to go in there and hit new item 100 times to make production items? Well, if so, maybe we go and we set some of our default values for production items up. We go and we make a bunch of new items, and then we go and change our default values again for what the next, series of operations we're going to do is. So, think about like what you're about to go do. Maybe set some default values that would help you do that repetitive action, and it'll help you just kind of fly through it and cut down on the time and the different mouse clicks you have to do for that.
Yeah.
Just some ideas, So we also have this duplicate field. And what this means is this one's actually very nice. In the past, it was confusing sometimes. When I duplicate an inventory item and I make a new one from an old one, what gets copied? And this duplicate checkbox, this whole column here is telling us what do I want to copy from the old item when I make a new one. So you can actually, in the past, maybe 10 fields or something like that got copied. Now every field gets copied, and you can choose which ones don't. Obviously, units on back order, date entered, last modified, they don't make sense to copy. But settings about the inventory item are great to copy over. If you're going to copy, one production item and make a new one out of it, great. Let's duplicate that field. So, yeah, I think this is great. I think the last thing here in the field settings is column alias. So this one's kind of cool. I'm not sure, how everyone's going to use it necessarily, but you can rename any column you want and call it something new. And that's only in the UI, like only in the way it appears on screen. So say we wanted to take, sales account, and we're thinking, well, sales account's not really the appropriate title for that. That should be a sales income account. We can go ahead and save those settings. And I think we have to reload the page, but at the point where we reload the page, this field here will show as sales income account. So it kind of just helps for you to be able to customize your system, make it more intuitive to yourself and to your users, where you can modify the title of the field on screen. Right? So let's cancel and let's open it up and see if that came through. Kind of curious. Well, it didn't, but you get the idea. On the customer side, that's definitely going to work, and I'll show you guys that in a second. So that kind of like wraps up inventory a little bit. We did the racking thing. I guess the last thing to kind of talk about here, let's go through and make a new product. Let's make a new inventory item in your system, and I'll show you guys, how that looks and how that feels. So we've got this save and add new button, again, going along with the concept that you need to like rip through a lot of items really quickly and just keep making them and making them. So anytime you want to add a new one, you can save the existing record that you're on, or you can save the existing record and duplicate it. You can also cancel. You can just save, or you can save and close. This has been kind of confusing, what all these buttons should do, but I think we have them all locked in now. You can cancel making changes, so if you type in some changes, you can just undo it, or you can save it and stay on screen, or you can save it and leave the screen. But let's save and add new, and good. So we're now looking at a new inventory item. Notice that I don't have a product ID here because I did not have auto create product ID turned on, so we're going to have to make one. And so we can see like sales account, it got set by default to placeholder. It looks like we auto-generated UPC, which is a configuration here on new items. So we can go through and we're just going to fill out our mandatory fields because that's all we have to do. So I'm going to set my item class, and that's going to set my accounts, which I guess, Rob, we're not really using accounting here, so sorry, those are mandatory. So we'll do product ID like SBI test, SBI test 1, 2, 3, and let's see, in description I'll say test botanical, and let's set a size, a default size for the item here, maybe each. Good. Oops. Okay. So we should have everything mandatory filled out, and watch what happens when I hit save. This is going to be something new for you guys, where when we hit save, it's going to want to auto-generate what's called a catalog item. So a catalog is like a plant catalog. It's like a big picture library of all the varieties that you grow, all the botanicals that you grow. And with the new inventory system and with the focus on production, that is like a new requirement. So when I go to save this, it's going to tell me that I don't have a catalog and I didn't pick one, and so it's asking if it should auto-generate one for us, which in this case I'd like it to do that, so I'll say OK. And so it just generated a catalog called Test Botanical here. I think we may have to so here's the Test Botanical catalog. You'd go into here and you'd edit more of your catalog information, and you do this on a botanical name basis only. So there's a whole lot of information that goes with any given item. And this is for production, so you group items together under one catalog, meaning that they can get transferred from one to the next size. Right? So it is going to use catalogs in the new inventory system. We can make a decision about whether we should both just generate a bunch of catalogs for you guys when it comes on, or how that should work. It's a discussion to have when we want to move to it. So yeah, there's a lot of features in here. We have duplicating, we have the field settings, we have like quick drill down into all the pricing, which I think is great. And then really the final thing to show you here, I think, is the log. So the inventory transaction log is new. In Classic you had a version of the transaction log. This is really the same thing. It just brought in SBI test 1, 2, 3, which we've never done anything with because it's brand new. So I kind of want to expand this. And we're on your sandbox too, so there's not much activity happened here on your sandbox. Change my date range, maybe 7/1. Go ahead and apply that. Oh, put that back in, huh? Okay. So this is, this is a new version of the transaction log. It's templatable, just like everything else in the system. You can export the grid. I think we want to put some reports that print into here as well. But it's kind of cool, like they put this graph into here. The developers put this graph in, where when you're clicking on an item, though, you can see kind of how the inventory has changed over time. Let's go back into that. Some sandbox issues, of course. But it's pretty neat seeing that, like watching how the inventory has changed over time. They decided to put a little log in there. I think every time you make a transaction, it does put another spot on there, and then you can kind of like track it. But most importantly, you have all the information you had in Classic here, maybe even a little bit more detailed information. We have a better log, easier to filter, templatable, so you can get rid of things that you don't need, like lot ID. Maybe you don't care about costs or the transaction ID that took place or something like that, right? But new log, better log, exportable, pretty happy with that. All right, so any questions about the inventory stuff before I go into customers and...
I got a question. You created a UPC number. What if we don't want that UPC number?
If you don't want UPC numbers, then let's go into configuration here.
We want to create the UPC number based on the item number that we assign to that new item.
Okay. We can work on that, but really auto-create UPC is what was doing that. So we have a configuration that says, yes, go and auto-generate it. You can choose to turn that on or off, and I think we have to put in some settings about like what's the prefix that it uses and that kind of stuff. Okay,
and also back in the main inventory screen, can you show us where we adjust our inventory levels?
The in-stock quantities?
Yeah.
That's not where that happens right now. Where you're adjusting the in-stock. So that's going to continue happening in exactly the same places you do it now.
Okay.
The inventory control screen in back office has not changed. The inventory control web application has not changed. So all of that stuff is still equal. Orders adjust your inventory, counts adjust your inventory, and those things are still the same.
Build on hand, and you say everything is editable. What happens if we try to edit a number on the on hand column?
Oh, you cannot edit that kind of information in that grid. That wouldn't really make sense to edit that there.
Okay, so then not everything is editable.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things obviously that like on hand and available, units committed. You shouldn't be able to edit that, and that's nice that they made it a non-editable cell, so it doesn't look tricky either. Like I click into this, I can tell I can edit that. But you click into this, and it doesn't feel like I can edit that. So
okay.
That's good news.
So John, the old form for that one then.
Exactly. Yeah. So that you can right-click and drill in again. We really are trying to make that a thing everywhere in the system. So you don't have to even drill into the item anymore. You do have the side panel thing where you can drill in to get the SKU set up, but same stuff is here, I guess. Price options, price levels, SKU pricing, special pricing, the min-max, duplicating. And that's another thing too, like when we went into this config screen, I realized, we did some stuff like duplicate SKU when a product is duplicated. So if you duplicate a product that's on a SKU BC level for Walmart, it will put the new product that you create from it in the SKU BC level if you have this turned on. So, again, like you're doing a lot of setup and it's all throughout the system in all these various places. So where we can do it, let's copy and just help you move on really quickly. So duplicating SKU setup, duplicating price level data, and duplicating rack values. Pretty awesome. So you don't have to set up a new shelf quantity, if you just copy an item from an old item.
Good stuff. John, are you still doing most of the new item setups? You doing them all? Okay.
Yep. All right.
Cool. And then, like,
SKU,
over here, we just have all these like lists. You know, you've got your categories and your types and your item classes, your sizes, price level date ranges, SKU levels, all that kind of stuff. You know, pretty standard things here. So yeah, any questions? Any other questions?
I think that's good for now. We can probably move on to the customers.
Cool. Great. So like, before we get into customers, I'll explain, like, there is one thing that I've noticed is a little bit different for people. Now, when you want to edit SKUs or get into a SKU level, we don't do that through the customer anymore. That is an option from the main menu. So in the past, when you guys are used to going into the ship to and hitting the SKU level from there, you're mostly going to want to do it from the inventory item now, or just straight from the main menu, which I'll show you in a second here. So if you go to SKU PC levels from the main menu now, that is what launches the new SKU screen, where, you know, by default you just see every level together. You don't have to now drill in one by one to each level. You can choose, you know, from the top up here what level you want to see, or you can apply a filter into here to see what level you want. Again, like, it's locked, and you have to edit it, but then you can edit it right here in the grid. So, we'll go through like more specifics on how to do SKUs, I guess, a little bit later on, or we can send you some help documentation, because setting up SKUs is a little bit of a, you know, it's a thing, it's a task for someone. Does anybody have any like specific questions about SKUs right now they want to ask?
We can probably go over that later. Let's just keep moving with this for now.
Yep, sounds good. Cool. So I'm going to go into customers next, and so it says contacts new up there, but we're going to go to the customers screen. This one's called customers. So in the past, like, I don't think you guys use a lot of customer contacts too much, like people and persons, however you want to call them. There is a new structure for that too. We'll get into that in a second here. So we're in the customer search screen, which looks a lot like the inventory item search screen. Same thing, we have search mode versus edit mode. You know, I can double click on a customer and I can pull up the customer edit screen here. Let's just cancel that out. I want to show you that in a second. Same kind of panel stuff that's going on here. So on a build to customer search, we show value added. Value added gets set up on a build to level. So that's the only thing there in that side panel. All of this stuff, as you know, is editable right here in the grid. We don't have any customer types. There's no drop down here, but you can just change this stuff. You know, go back to search mode and it's saved. One of my favorite things that we put into here, because I work with a lot of different you know, box stores, say Home Depot, for example. So we made a quick drill down into ship to search. So there's a split between build tos and ship tos, obviously. And what we're looking at right now is our build to customer search screen. Well, we made it so that you can check off multiple build to customers, and you can go into the ship to search screen. And under ship to search, I now have both of these Home Depot customers coming up. So we thought this was great for people who want to, you know, maybe they have two different build tos, but it's the same setup, like kind of your Walmart, PFS, and non-PFS. I mean, they're the same stores, so if you want to edit some information, maybe you don't want to click into each store separately. They're the same store. You know, so it'd be a great tool to be able to come into here, kind of sort by address, and okay, or however you want to sort it, but great, their address changed, or we had it wrong somewhere. So you can just see multiple ship tos for multiple build tos at the same time. I thought this was a great improvement for us to be able to, you know, see many different ship tos at the same time.
Can you add a column in there?
What's that?
Add a column in this screen?
What column?
Can you add a column?
Oh, yeah. I actually removed a lot of columns for this demonstration because a lot of them, you know, are unnecessary, and I didn't want to clutter it. You know, I was really trying to keep the clutter down, and that's one big part of this style of the system is getting the clutter out for you guys, you know, making it only what you need. But you know, it has all these columns, and it has the columns that you see up here. We can certainly, you know, add in stuff. We're at that point.
Can we add to that list of columns that we can choose from? Or is it set?
You know, working with us, yeah, we can add stuff to it for sure. You know, if there are fields that you guys use right now on Ship2s that aren't in here, let's definitely think about adding those in.
We rank some of the stores from, you know, A to E kind of thing.
Oh, so you want the custom fields? The custom Ship2 fields. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Some stores, some are B.
Right. Those custom fields, they are in here, but they're only in the edit screen. I'll show you that in a second. So just like the other side panels, we decided to put like a couple of one-to-many relationships in here. And for Ship2s, you guys use site allocation. So you can edit your site allocation here, or you can edit your racks here. One of my favorite things that we did here in the search screen and with this side panel is the ability to do mass updates. So as you saw in customers, we had like a mass update drop down, you type in the value kind of thing. But with these, it's going to work a little bit differently. So watch what happens when I check off a record or two. That thing changes and it says update checked. So now what I'm actually doing is bulk updating these Ship2s to allocate to these sites. I can say, yes, include this site or that site. If Sabia's here, she probably won't like seeing this one. But yeah, updating what's checked off. And it's really fast. In most cases, it's been really fast to update, you know, 100 Ship2s with the same site allocation. In the past, you guys had to drill in one by one to each Ship2, double-click a little button to open up a tiny little box to do this, and now it's like bulk updatable. You could do it based on the state or whatever it is. So I imagine that your Ship2s, and we know this is how it actually is, like you guys know, okay, well, if they're in Alberta, we try to allocate from Alberta first, so we might check off all of those guys, set it to Alberta, unset Chilliwack, you know, and we just want to update what's checked off. So, I mean,
Chilliwack.
Yeah, I don't know why Chilliwack is still checked off there. Something with like the default site, always trying to get included, potentially. But at any rate, you get the idea. You know, we're trying to make bulk updates a lot smoother. We're trying to make a lot of this stuff that was in the past pretty cumbersome a lot smoother here. So I want to go into the edit screen now and show you guys what that looks like on the, both Build2s and Ship2s have their own edit screen. So let me go back and I'm going to drill into Home Depot PBS. Let me go into search mode so I can click on it. Okay, so this is another area that I thought was really cool. You know, just like with inventory, oh whoops, I want to show you that. Just like with inventory, we have these field properties where you can set default values. You can say whether it's mandatory, whether it's hidden. You can do the column alias thing. So I always thought this was kind of funny, like, you know, state, we can now alias that to being called like province, so we don't have to worry about people with their preferences. Zip code, you know, there's another term for that as well. So, you know, being able to just change the way that these look on screen, I think is going to be way more friendly for, you know, different styles of users or different styles of companies. So, you know, everything here is pretty much like it was on the inventory side. The only thing that is different, and I'm talking about, you know, aliases, mandatory, system mandatory, and hidden. There's no duplicate here. But the thing that is different is groups. So groups I think are really cool. You'll notice on the left I have a couple of groups. I have one that's called general. I have one that's called shipping. These are defined by your company, just like the mandatory and the default values and things like that. So what you get to do now is make this side panel, you know, make the actual grid look a lot easier for your users. So you can hide things you don't want to see. you can group up different objects together into one kind of group. Well, that's exactly what it is, a group. And you can make this whole thing a lot cleaner. So, one thing we might do is just right away get rid of things that you don't use or that you shouldn't change, things like that. So, like, what's something you wouldn't use here, maybe? Use open avail. That's something you probably would never use or don't even know what it is. So let's hide some of these things. We'll go ahead and save those properties, and they go away. Let's take customer type, for example, too. Wherever that is, to the top. Oh, cool. So we'll take customer type, and I'm gonna put that in the general group. So I can bulk update my groups, or I can pull it down over here too. But I want to take a customer type, and let's take customer type 2. Let's take account manager. Let's put those into the group called general. So you can see it get affected right there, and then when we save it, they show up right in that section with it. I think that part is pretty slick. Same thing with like the aliases here. We can go through and we can just say this is province. And if I spell it wrong, I'm sorry. But we can go ahead and save that property, and on screen right there it immediately changes. So this is just, it's really, really about flexibility. That's what inventory and customers are about, flexibility and getting rid of clutter, being able to hide things, being able to set default values, all that stuff. So this is one of my favorite parts of this whole package, really, that we've been working on, in the groups, the default values, all that stuff. Next, go into contacts, because this part has changed too, and I'm sure you're wondering a little bit, where are my contacts, where are people? I'm not sure if they've been converted here for you guys, but this is the place where now you add people. So in our system, we're thinking of contacts more along the terms of a person. So I'm Billy Allison, I'm a contact. I might be set up as an employee of SBI Software, or as an account manager with Rainbow, or as a salesperson for Home Depot. And now that's just one person called Billy Allison, and he has all these different associations. So this is our new structure for that. I can go and put in my first name. I think I'm adding a new one right now. So yeah, let's go and add Billy Allison. My title will be person.
Hey Billy, I think you're in the system already. It's just limited to, you're in the system already. It's just limited to, the bill to is limited to Home Depot Pay by Scan.
You're right about that. Oh yeah, there we go. So I can find Billy already. I'm in there a couple times. And I can find him, right? And okay, well, this is showing me right now Billy Allison's contacts for Home Depot Pay by Scan. And it gets a little bit confusing, but basically what we're saying here is, like, I get an email address, and let's say billy@sbiteam.com, okay, and that gets linked automatically to Home Depot Pay by Scan, right? So we're going to convert your data into these structures here for the persons and people, whatever you want to call it. We call it persons. But you can see now, like, there is some work to do on converting this stuff over for you guys. But we think this is way more flexible, where now you can have a single person, and they can be a contact for a build to, a contact for a ship to, they can be a contact for a vendor. So the idea is, hey, we have Joe Schmo, he works for Home Depot and specifically this store. But if you want to get him at this store, you have to call this fax number, call this phone number. But if you want to email him, that's his personal email, that's his home address, whatever it is, right? So we really tried to make. Go ahead.
So in this screen, like, if we start putting stuff in here, like, because we're supposed to be getting the email notification set up, are they going to tap into the information in here? So if we're setting up people, associating people email addresses with bill to or with ship to customers, is that all going to link into there so that our delivery notifications and order notification things get sent to those email addresses?
Exactly, yeah. So this is where you'll be setting up the contacts to receive emails from shipment notifications. So those contacts here, let me turn off show all, so we're back to just Home Depot contacts. So what you want to do to set those people up is you just set them as the default contact, and if they have an email address, it'll get sent to them. So if I'm the default contact for a specific Home Depot store, then I will get that email. Notice right now I'm only talking about the bill to level Home Depot pay by scan though. So watch what happens. So I made Billy Allison for Home Depot pay by scan as a bill to, and I want to go view some of those ship tos, and I'm going to put him as a contact for this store. So I'm going to go into my contacts for that store, and it says, oh, there are no contacts for this bill to and this ship to, but I can go to show all, I can find Billy for Home Depot, and I'll say link contact. So now that contact is linked, it says link there. So now it's linked to the Home Depot pay by scan and this ship to customer. But I haven't put any contact methods for Billy at this store. If I uncheck this box, it'll show me the other address associated to Home Depot pay by scan. So I can go in here and I can say, well, Billy has another email, and it's buyer store 123 at Walmart, or sorry, hd.com, something like that. Like that's the concept here behind this, is that I might have a contact for this bill to, I might have a contact for this ship to, and there's different ways to get in touch with me, depending on how, why you're calling me or why you're emailing me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's a little taste on contacts. Like, we do have to convert your data and kind of verify that it goes in the right places, because there wasn't anything like this in Classic. You have
no, and I don't think we have too much. I don't think we have very little data in our old contacts or whatever. Very little information in the system. So I don't think we have to worry too much about conversion, because we're probably pretty much starting from scratch.
Okay. Well,
what do we
have,
like 50 records?
I think these people maybe came from vendors or something like that. These might be vendors or just some random stuff.
Trucking stuff.
Trucking stuff?
Basic.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, something came in there. We can see we have Norm Cornelson, and that came through with an email and a phone. So like the way we convert these, we're always kind of looking at that and making sure we're converting it the right way. Because we took a whole bunch of information in Classic that was kind of scattered, and we carefully brought it into the new person structure. So, for example, on a ship-to company in Classic, if you had a phone number filled out in the field called phone number 1, but you didn't have a name at all, then we do some kind of like fancy, data gymnastics to bring that over as a contact, because the phone number is important, but there was no name, so we couldn't make a person with it. And that's why sometimes you might be seeing contacts where the name is actually just the company name or the vendor name or something. So, we had to do some stuff, and it's constantly being tweaked. So like KWE Trucking is a good example of that. So, and LA Refrigerated as well, I guess. So this came over because there was a name of the company, and they had a phone number and an email address, but there's probably no name for a person or something like that. So yeah, that pretty much like sums it all up. Really, we went through customers and ship-tos, inventory, SKUs a little bit. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to see, or ask me if it's changed or something like that? We have like a few more minutes here.
More on the SKUs.
More on SKUs?
Sure. No, you don't want to get into it too much, but where we can change SKUs, that sort of stuff, and where they're attached.
Yeah. Let me show you that for a few minutes here. Okay, so we're in the SKU UPC screen now. This is the one screen that didn't get templates on it. So I think that'll get worked on, but it doesn't have templates right now. So let's talk about a couple things. There is a bulk update. So you can mass update the price or mass update the SKU or anything like that. Say oh, this SKU changed from this year to last year. Well, I could take the value on this SKU thing. Let me turn on edit mode. So I might take this value, paste it up there, check off all the records, and I say, well, this old SKU is becoming this new SKU. So I'm going to change it to 1, 2, 3, and hit the update button. And that'll just cascade through. So there's that. That's pretty neat, being able to mass update. The process for making an assortment is now slightly different. And the process for adding new items into the SKU is now different too. So I want to try to find like do you have a level that's pretty small, like maybe HD PBS? They have pretty limited items, right?
Yeah, you can try that.
Okay. Okay, great. This looks really good. So we get like an assorted item here. Assorted items show up as blue. Kind of makes sense. The children show up as this white one here. Now, so the process like that you used to follow for making an assortment was you filled out.
Still there, Billy?
Well, can you do large to Walmart? Where'd you go?
Should we cut out?
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
An hour.
Time's up.
Oh man, I think I just.
Back.
I can look up
Here. Yeah. Go ahead, say again.
creating assorted mixes, and that's all. It's all new and different now. So you're saying?
Okay, so we'll just set up a time to do SKU training specifically with the sales team.
Okay.
Cool. So, I mean, that pretty much wraps it up here. What are we thinking, guys? Like, can we have some people go in there, play around with it, and get their hands dirty a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get people in there. We'll get and we'll dig around this a little bit, and hopefully we can see if we find any issues or anything, then we can get back to you, and otherwise we'll get it turned on live.
Cool. The one big thing that would be great to test is like, I want you guys, and I'll train the sales team on it, but I think setting up some new SKUs or modifying that information there, and then like running replenishment or making some PBS shipments would be really great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Billy. Hey, Billy. Thanks, Billy.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Hey, Billy. That was
Yeah.
one of the better SBI training hour information, so well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, we'll I'll keep in touch then. Maybe we can figure something out by in the next couple of days here, and if there's any problems, we can get that figured out so that we can get this going.
All right.
Live.
Sounds like a plan, guys.
Perfect. Hey, so I got Aaron's message the other day, but I haven't got a response. Did you see the email back that I sent?
Yes, I did see that, and I'll talk with him about that and get you guys to talk to each other as well. But he is right about that, the new replenishment thing.
Yeah, I mean I'm totally on board. Calvin just had some questions, and he kind of was just wondering if there's if we can just see it. He's probably a little bit just kind of wondering, like if it's a totally new look, he's probably not going to be super thrilled about it. But I think either way, it's good. I think we just need to be update. We might as well do upgrade, get it done right, and get it working.
Okay. Well, I gotta run right now, but yeah, let's talk about that as soon as we can.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just wanted to check, make sure my communication had gone through.
Yeah, it did. Sorry we didn't respond.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Billy. Yeah, have a good day. We'll talk to you next week, probably.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.